We received your message and we understand. We beg you now to return our mother to us so that we can celebrate with her. This is the only way we will have peace. This is very valuable to us, and we will pay.
So what does the latest video from the Guthrie family tell us about what's possibly happened to Nancy Guthrie? It's not great news. There are a few different indications in there that potentially something significant has shifted. Susanna talks about wanting to celebrate. There was no asking for proof of life, which has changed from the previous video. They're all holding hands. The faces, and yes, they looked completely horrified in the first couple of videos, but this seems different. What are the other signs that you might have missed? Former FBI agent, SEAL, superhero Jonathan Gilliam joins me to dissect from only his perspective, and he uses stats, not feelings or emotions, but stats. This Guthrie case, aside from being completely heartbreaking, and anyone who's got a mother, which is all of us who has had one, just feels this on so many levels, but it's also absolutely baffling. What to you doesn't make sense so far in this case, and we're a week in now from when she was taken?
Well, the timeline is very odd to me for kidnappers that are supposedly or potentially this advanced in using Bitcoin and coming up with this way to kidnap somebody and ransom them. So that happens a lot in Mexico all the time, but doesn't happen here, right? So for this to happen here, it's not following the protocol, what you see in Mexico, where they are in contact with the families. They do let them know that we have these people. We are going to kill them if you don't, give us the money. Oftentimes those people end up dead anyway. But in this case, the timeline of somebody going into the home and being in there for approximately 45 minutes, that makes no sense to me. And then the way the cameras went off, or they say that they went offline, and then they showed movement after that. I don't understand what they mean by that. And then the non-communication. These kidnappers are making demands, but let me say this. The people who are making the demands are not making it a two-way communication. So there's no way that a real advanced or a person who's somewhat understanding of how these things work would make these demands without showing proof of life, because the possibility and most likely result is that you're not going to get money. And so that kind of leads me to wonder if those people are opportunists. It could even be somebody that she knows that's an opportunist. It could be somebody from India or somebody from any of these other places that we have. Nigeria, we have scams all the time, like not necessarily this, but scams from far away. So that part is not adding up to me. Plus the 45 minutes in the home almost appears to me of what we typically see. And so I go on statistics and I look at statistics. I don't say that's what happened, but I kind of refer back to those. Is that somebody who knows an individual and is looking for something or is committing a crime within that home, and then the person wakes up, for instance, and then they have a tussle with them, or they get in a fight with them, or their rage pours out and they finally do what they're wanting to do. That seems like a more likely scenario than somebody to mill about for 45 minutes and then injure somebody, take them out, and then make unsubstantiated demands for money in return of their life. So it's just not adding up to me.
Obviously, her daughter, very well known in America, a very famous television presenter, very wealthy. But again, you make the point, this is not two-way communication where they're requesting something and then looking for a response to that or some kind of exchange. Could this be motivated by something other than money? Could this be about ideology? Could this be revenge for something that Savannah Guthrie may have talked about on air or done. I mean, all these things, I know this is, you know, we're not dealing in facts here, but it's trying to understand what a possible other motive could be if it's not financial.
So I don't think what Savannah Guthrie covers on a typical basis is something that's going to inflame anyone. You know what I mean? It's not, she doesn't cover super hot button topics as an investigative reporter. That's the type of person that you might see get vitriol. I don't know. I haven't looked at her X or Twitter account, but she doesn't seem like the type of person that's going to get vitriol. Of course, there's your conspiracy theory people out there that are saying that her husband's connected to the Clintons and Epstein and all this stuff, but it's still not something that I would venture into and put any weight behind. But I would still put it on a whiteboard and say this is a potential.
Yeah.
But the wealth part of it is something. And so people can do research. I mean, look, they go in the obituaries all the time and they try to find people who've died and then go after their spouses for fraud. I mean, that occurs. So I think that there is a potential that somebody outside of the family could be involved in this. I know I was just mentioning earlier on Fox News that a friend of mine reached out and said that they saw there's a brand new roof on the building, on the home, and they're in construction. They said there's a tremendous amount of felons in that industry, especially in roofing. So that's how Elizabeth Smart was abducted. You know, a guy was working on the roof, never came back for a paycheck, and then showed up and kidnapped her through an open window. These are all possibilities, but those seem more likely for somebody to be inside of a home for 45 minutes, not somebody who's going in to kidnap somebody. That just doesn't make sense to me.
Especially when the victim is in her 80s and not particularly healthy or well. Her ability to fight back and struggle for half an hour, 40 minutes would be minimal. There was talk early, and obviously so conscious of things that are not true and speculating, but about it being maybe closer to home. The son-in-law reportedly dropped her off, but the police aren't being specific about who it was that dropped her off after she had dinner with her daughter and her daughter's husband. Why would that be, do you think? Why would they say a family member and not answer specifically, whereas some publications have said it was her son-in-law?
Well, the sheriff, I think, if I remember correctly, the sheriff is the one who said it was the son-in-law, and then he backtracked later and said things that were not specific. But the sheriff, I don't know him personally. I know Sheriff Lamb, who he replaced, and so I don't know how professionally is his job, but some people should just not be in front of a mic. And if I was going to advise him, I would say, take yourself out of this. You know, I know you're a politician because sheriffs are politicians, but he's not doing himself or investigation any favors. But the possibility, Erin, very great possibility, is that somebody that she's related to has done this and is either trying to get money through Bitcoin, or they have nothing to do with that, or they could have hired somebody and that's the way they're going about it. But, you know, if you binge watch 48 Hours Mysteries, and they do a fantastic job of covering over 30, 40 years, as long as that show's been on, you'll see that it is not uncommon for family members to do absolutely horrific things. And you can't write that off. You just cannot. I mean, you have Samantha, who is this famous news person. Her brother's a fighter pilot. And then you have a sibling in the middle who's a poet who's married to a guy in a band. You know, I mean, it's so who knows?
I see exactly what you're saying. Absolutely. Again, in summary, praying clearly that she comes home and she's okay. It's going to be messy and horrific, I think, either way when it comes to the surface what actually happened. What is your prediction? We're a week out. She needs medication. There's been no proof of life that we've seen thus far. Are you optimistic or not so much regarding the likelihood of getting her back okay?
I just look at statistics, and statistics show that typically she is not coming back alive. The further we get away from the event and they're still not willing to show proof of life, that also tells me that they probably don't, they're not able to prove that life. And also they left her medication behind. If they really cared about her, which they apparently said in one of these letters that she's healthy and aware of, and she's scared. Well, if they're, that's kind of a soft message, you know, saying that, listen, she's alive, but she's scared and you need to pay us this money. But yet we didn't take her heart medication with her and she's 80 something years old. That shows me that they were not concerned with her life, but now they're kind of showing or saying, these people that are doing the ransom. I'm still, Erin, I'm still looking at this as two different cases. You have the case of what occurred at that home and the case of these ransom letters, and I'm not actually positive that they're connected, except for the fact it's about the same person.
Yeah, I think you're spot on, as always. Jonathan, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
You got it, Erin.
The full episode is up now on the Erin Molan Show YouTube channel and on podcast. If you love what we're doing here on the Erin Molan Show, and I know you do, you will love our partners. Noble Gold. The market is so unpredictable. It's volatile. Precious metals, they're the opposite. And balance of nature. Everything you need to be healthy, happy, calm, well-rested in one tablet. Make sure you support the incredible companies who support us.